The Earth is flat.
It's like we have this picture of reality that's a big puzzle piece, and then one of those pieces just wasn't fitting.
Are you willing to change your mind on this?
Nobody wants to be a flat earther, but if you showed me incontrovertible evidence, I would definitely go back. Who wants the ridicule? I'm Wendell Walton. I'm a Chief Learning Officer for a young startup.
I'm Shelley Lewis. I'm a graduate of West Point, critical thinker, and jumped out of airplanes.
My name is Dan Glattman. I work as Dan the Waterman in the drinking water filtration industry, and I'm a truth seeker.
Only step forward if this is true for you. I believe the earth was created by a higher power.
Well, I've been a Christian for 30 years, so the Bible is a flat earth book. You have to take it literally. Like, for example, in Isaiah, when it talks about how the earth is like a clay wax seal that's stamped with upturned edges, that's just not some fancy story. That's a simile. It is like.
Right, absolutely. And in Isaiah it talks about too, and I'm a Christian, he who sits upon the circle of the earth. There's a difference between a circle and a ball.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
If you look at the original Hebrew, it means disc. There's over 200 scriptures in the Bible that point to a flat earth.
There's so many other writings and so many other books, so why weren't they correct? Why is just the Bible correct?
Well, what you'll find in a lot of these ancient religions is they're all flat earth religions. All their cosmology goes back to being a flat earth with an enclosed system. So it's not just the Bible that teaches this. It's many different religious books.
My name is Wendell. I am a logical, biblically based, and scientific flat earther. I didn't start out, and no one starts out as a flat earther, but I had a lot of questions. So I actually got to the point where I had to go out and put my own eyeballs on it. So we went out to an observation at Salton Sea, and things just didn't add up down there. So we've gone back probably a dozen times. And I can guarantee you that there is no curvature over distance.
The internet has played an important role in confirming my view of this topic.
Well, we have the advantage of information today that's outside of channels 2, 4, and 7 and the few networks that are corporately owned. It's pretty easy to say YouTube isn't research, but when you spend enough time, you're picking up quite a bit. And with the discussion groups, panels, we've gone against opposition. We've opposed ourselves. Surprisingly enough, flat Earth is its own worst enemy. So it's not that easy for us to come to consensus. And we find that consensus is orchestrated and not actually scientific in any way.
You know, my grandfather used to tell me growing up, never believe anything you read in the newspaper, right? He told that to me. Now, with the age of the internet, it's like, you know, how much of this misinformation are you getting there? And when you have like eyewitnesses taking video of something, you do have to take everything with a grain of salt. That's why, because of my multimedia background, I knew that all that stuff could be faked. You know, take it into Photoshop, take it into After Effects.
One of the things I will say is NASA.gov has their own documents out there that we get to vet, which is through the Freedom of Information Act. And would you agree that NASA documents, if they're on display, that we should be able to go and research inside there?
NASA is not proving that the Earth is flat.
Well, they say it in 14 of the documents.
You should read what NASA says, and you should listen to what NASA
I would
says.
love to see your NASA evidence that the Earth is
It's
flat.
only their contradictory issues
Okay,
that
let's
bring
see.
us here.
We're all familiar with the Earthrise photo, right? The Earth is rising over the moon. We're all familiar with it. That's a NASA. You can go out to NASA's site. You can download the original, right? So you bring up the luminance on it, and you can see where it's cut out and pasted there.
They're showing us doctored images that are clearly doctored. The blue marble is a very famous image from 1972. When you talk to the artist from NASA, his name is Robert Simmons, he talks about exactly how it was created from data, and it's not a photograph whatsoever. He added clouds.
Let me explain.
He added a highlight of the sun.
If you take it to
I'm
that
just
together.
saying how it's
Hold on.
presented. It's
Hold on.
presented as a real
So when
photograph. You're talking about composites. I'm what you call a globe denier. You could even get me into a virtual construct if I can't find the borders myself.
What shape would you say you think the earth is?
It appears to me to be a stationary plane, as opposed to the vastness of infinity of space. I would find it to be an ice plane where we have a localized sun and our environment thrives there. You know, these particular people have misled us on television. This is a brilliant opportunity to speak. We've been suppressed, censored by mainstream media. Alternative media is just a thing of beauty for me.
I view the other side as uneducated.
I'm running.
Well, they certainly think they're educated.
And they're following quite a bit of the university system, what we call scientism.
Right, scientism.
Obviously is the belief in what's written, where we tend to be exploring in the field with physical properties, not theories of any kind. We're using actual measurements that are calculated not by our guidelines, but the guidelines of science as we know it. I can only hope they're uneducated as opposed to disingenuous.
Well, that's the other thing too, because we know that at least on a large scale, the government has been disingenuous, and they're pushing a narrative, right? So it's hard for us. I mean, I'm sure that you've met people too. It's like, look, are you haven't looked into it yet, or are you a shill? Are you part of a disinformation campaign? I think that you're very well educated as well as you are, Jim. But more and more professionals are coming on board. They're starting to question their reality. So the thing of it is once you start to really take a hard look at the evidence, and you are unafraid of just standing for the truth wherever that may lead you, then people end up becoming flat earthers.
I'm hoping to be able to tell our side of the story from the inside out. So many times, flat earthers are depicted from the outside in, and I want to be able to share with others empirical data that proves the earth is not what we've been told.
I have changed my mind at some point about this topic.
So when I was 12 years old, I went to space camp, and I met Alan B. Shepard.
Oh, nice.
Yep, and I wanted to be an astronaut, and I wanted to be the first woman to walk the moon.
Oh.
So for me, I'm a glober. I went into this completely wanting it to be true. And my husband told me, he saw this thing about the fake moon landing. And I was like, you're absolutely crazy. There's no way that the moon landings are fake. And then in 2010, my husband was killed. And so I never really developed that until around 2014 when Flat Earth kind of came back up. And that little voice inside my head said, remember the fake moon landings? Remember when that was brought to my attention? And then I started really critically analyzing that. And I would say, just looking at that evidence, if they can lie about the moon landings, they can certainly lie about pictures and satellites and other things. And so I started going down that rabbit hole of studying. So that was my influence from my husband.
How many lies does it take to make a liar, right?
And being ridiculed for being inquisitive is pretty tough on us. I wouldn't say that I've changed my mind because my mind isn't set. NASA is solely designed to change my mind. It is, from its inception, from its discovery, has been a television program, it's been a space program to sell us on something that they've yet to actually show us. Show me a globe spinning with clouds and a moon, show me home, and I think I could shut up easily. I think I could shut up.
I like you guys that you are very skeptical, but at the same time, you are not skeptical about your belief system.
You
That
keep
should
going
have come
back.
first.
You think that that's my foundation for why I believe the earth is flat, and I'm telling you, you're wrong.
Okay.
I have evidence that proves it's flat.
What
or
type of
proves
evidence,
it's not
you
a
know?
ball.
What
Curvature,
type of
I
evidence?
just-
We're being misled. We're being deliberately misled by mainstream
Now,
media.
what's your evidence you're
We
thinking?
see too far. We see too far. We should not be able to see. I live in Dana